Okay, Mike, sorry, we got disconnected there. But I was gonna wrap up the Chris Rock Will Smith thing anyways. Do you got anything you want to add before we move on?
Well, I mean, it was a little surprising to you and me both, because we both talked about it, that the theme of the show was Movie Lovers Unite. Well, I don't think that worked out so well, but I'm ready to move on to the show. The actual run to the awards.
All right, so let's see here. Let's talk our predictions. I went through our podcast before the show on Sunday night. Mike, you got everyone right except for, I think, original screenplay. It went to Coda. I think you had picked Power of the Dog, but otherwise you got them all right.
No, I think it's adapted screenplay, but that is correct. I missed that one.
Yes. Okay. And me, on the other hand, I didn't do as well, but I did pick that one right. But not as good. I didn't have the batting average that you had, but
what does that get me? That get me like a dinner or something? What's the deal here?
Well, maybe an extra criterion for your birthday.
Ooh, clever.
We'll see.
Do I get to pick it?
So the big one we got wrong, or I got wrong, that you got right, was Best Picture. So let's talk about Best Picture for a second. Coda won it. You picked it. We weren't both crazy about the movie, but we kind of figured, it was going to win. Even at least you did. I had a feeling too.
As we talked about in the prediction, it's a good movie. I enjoyed the movie, but I hate, you have a good movie that's overpraised, and again, people liked it, and it seemed to be, where Power of the Dog was dark and just, not what you would say a pleasant movie. Where Coda, I mean, it has its dark elements, but in general, it's a very crowd pleasing. You leave your living room, so to speak, since it's on an Apple. In a better mood. But again, it was that stacked voting thing that I think pushed it over the top. In addition to the people wanted to vote for something that they liked as opposed to thought was in the artistic achievement. So, and that's what I think what happened.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like that ranked choice voting definitely made the difference there. Are we going to be talking about Coda for years from now? No. I know the one podcast I listen to, they love it. Mad About Movies, they loved Coda. I mean, every critic on their podcast likes it a lot, and I don't know. I think we would both say that it's too YA for us. It's maybe a little too like high school. I don't know. I just. If you're going to talk about artistic achievement, like I said, and that's why I went with Power of the Dog, because I felt like it was more of a Best Picture winner than Coda. But that's my feelings. I'm not upset about it, but
I mean, there's it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, there's it's going to be like they made the choice that people go to Coda, they're not going to say, oh, I hated that movie, where you could imagine, what was that Wanda Sykes joke? She's watched Power of the Dog 3 times and she still hasn't finished it, which again, I think, there's going to be some people that are going to be like that with Power of the Dog. I mean, but, and,
so anything else on Best Picture? I mean, Coda, what else did it win for?
It's just, it's funny that, I think, I don't know in all history, but I know that it's very rare that the only award a picture gets is Best Director. You'd go back to 1967, Mike Nichols with The Graduate, and then in 1956, George Stevens for Giant, where the pictures were both nominated for a ton of other things, but didn't win anything else other than Best Director, which is very, very strange. I mean, nothing. Reflection on the movie. I love The Graduate and Giant I have some issues with, but again, it's like, that is an unusual occurrence.
Right, with Power of the Dog winning Best Director, and that was it. And the other interesting fact about Coda was that it won every category it was in. So it won.
But it's only three
Only
nominations.
Three nominations, and the others were a supporting actor and that adapted screenplay.
Right. And then you can go back to Spotlight where it got pictures and screenplay, and I think that was it. I mean, it had some other nominations, but, it didn't have, like, the technicals and stuff like, Power of the Dog got 12 nominations,
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Well, another big winner that night was Dune. Won several technicals.
They were thinking it was going to win, they were going to break the record, but it did not break the record because Cabaret has the record of 8 wins and no picture. But, of course, Cabaret got the technicals like that, but it also got Liza Minnelli and Joel Grey and director for Bob Fosse. So, again, that's the picture that's won the most awards without getting that picture.
Right. So, just to recap, Dune won cinematography, film editing, production design, sound, score, original score, visual effects.
Yeah.
And that is it, I think.
And did you know, I don't know if you heard, I had read this, but I didn't have it, I don't know how I can necessarily confirm it, that Hans Zimmer, because remember that was one of the awards that they gave, before the show started and then sort of shoved in there. And, as much as I hate to admit it, it was okay. I mean, they did get to read all the nominees and the winners got to make a brief. I guess they shortened, they didn't tell them that they could speak as long as they want, but the speech that they were going to have on the show was definitely shortened. But Hans Zimmer, in a response to that, did not appear to accept his award. That's why he wasn't there. As I heard, it was like a protest. But I don't know that. I had read that somewhere, but I only read that one place, and I thought, I think I'd heard more about that. So, maybe Entertainment Weekly or Variety, or usually as a recap, maybe they will be talking about that at a future date.
Yeah. So Dune did well. We're getting a part 2, so it'll have another shot at probably Best Picture when that comes out.
I understand that's December of 2023, because I assume there's going to be an issue. Well, again, some of the major characters have been killed off in part 1, but I mean, you're going to have to organize that with a whole lot of people that have to come back for part 2. Yeah. I mean, they may be time for it, but scheduling of that is going to probably be a nightmare.
Yeah, so you mentioned that they gave away a couple awards before the show to try to shorten it, which it still ran well over 3.5 hours.
Right.
Were you okay with that format? I mean, I think it was fine with me.
I would have rather them dropped some of the other stuff. I mean, the 3 hosts. Did we need 3 hosts? I mean. And again, their material certainly wasn't top shelf. I did laugh at the Amy Schumer joke about, they had 3 women because it would be, less than paying 1 man. I laughed out loud at that. And then Amy Schumer came back on that she was getting out of that after that stupid gag with her as Spider-Man. And she was getting out of her costume. And did something happen? I laughed out loud because, again, you knew that was like spur of the moment type humor, and it worked out fine. But again, that whole thing was feeling up Josh Brolin and the good and dressed for your COVID test. I mean, if you'd switched the sexes on that, how would that have played? And, they would say, well, they've been doing that for years. No, I don't even think in the 50s or 60s they would have had that where somebody was feeling up a male host, Bob Hope or somebody would have been feeling up the women or whatever. I mean, I think that fell flat. And then, we don't talk about Bruno. Not even nominated, but because that's the song people wanted to hear, they had that. And then I've heard this song in the movie and a couple times since, but I haven't heard it 20 times like a lot of poor parents have. But supposedly they changed the lyrics to accommodate, this production. I'm thinking, you're going to do that. It's not nominated, but then you're going to change the lyrics and stuff. I mean, it's like, you could have cut that and you could have had those 8 categories or whatever during the show. And, the in memoriam, I mean, they were focused on the dancers and the songs and all that. And some of that you couldn't see who the person was unless you knew them. I mean, they had, whether it was writers or production people, and you couldn't tell what they did because it was blocked by them. And then, of course, there's always people they forget. They say, well, Ed Asner. But, he had done movies early in his career. In particular, he was the star of Up. And not to mention, Monica Vitti. Hollywood movies, and an Italian star died. Don't even mention Monica Vitti. I mean, it's like, there's just, I don't know. I mean,
I saw Bob Saget was another.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if maybe Bob Saget, getting more known for TV, but still, if he had done some movies, I mean, what does it take? A flash of a second to put somebody's name on there, and it's like, so, I don't know. So, and then, we mentioned Cabaret and all, an anniversary along with Godfather, and it's like, it was nice. The Lady Gaga certainly treated Liza Minnelli very nice, but it's sort of, I guess I was, she appeared and it was a tribute to Cabaret and she got to the picture, but it is sad to see her. But again, not her fault. We all get older, but again, it was sort of sad.
Yeah, I didn't mind it as much as you did. They literally did the wheel her out there, which was, but anything else on the show?
Speaking of dropping things, the 5
okay, let's go into those.
Woman,
yes. So
and the 5 favorites. Talk about that, Gabe, because
we had 5 fan favorite movies, and let me see if I can go off the top of my head. One was that Minamata with Johnny Depp that we joked about earlier. One was the Cinderella on Amazon. Never saw it. Not gonna see it.
Bad reviews. Go ahead.
Right. Then you had Spider-Man. That's a given. You had what was the other one? Because I'm going to save.
Wasn't Army of the Dead the first one?
Yes. Army of the Dead won that category. The other was the fan moment. I think I'm missing
fan cheer moments or something.
Yes, there was a fan cheer moment. That was the Matrix, the Spider-Man, Avengers,
Flash,
the Dream Girls.
Right.
And
then
the winner, Mike, being the Flash scene in Justice League. Now, what do both winners have in common?
Can we say comic books and Marvel?
Well, there's more specific than that. Let's say Zack Snyder.
Snyder. Okay, very good.
Snyder Bros came out and voted these two in. And that it was an online campaign, and there was, how the Justice League sequence beats Avengers or Spider-Man, but they voted it in, and they voted Army of the Dead in, because what did they have in common? Zack Snyder. So you had the Snyder Bros came out and showed their voice.
Yeah.
Well,
again,
you think they'll do that next year? Will they do it next year?
Yeah. Another thing they could have cut. Again, that's going to make people watch the show to see if what they voted for won. I don't know. Again, I guess the ratings are up 56%, but still the second least watched show in history. But again, last year's I thought was, many problems that we had this year, last season was I think, not good.
Well, I'll predict next year's ratings are going to be a little bit higher, because especially if they get Chris Rock in there to host, which they should take my idea there. Anything else on the show? We had those categories. Let's cover that.
The Bond tribute. Okay. Now I thought maybe I didn't hear correctly. Well, I had DVR'd it, and I went back because I went through it again to see, because I knew we were going to talk about it. And it's something else I wanted to mention. They talk about all the people that play Bond, and everybody has their favorites. And, of course, they don't mention George Lazenby. Again, I don't know that that's anybody's favorite Bond. Excuse me. It's one picture. But, again, it's like you're going to mention Timothy Dalton and everybody else. You kind of just sort of give him a mention. Of course, you have 3 of these, I guess what you call extreme sports guys, introducing the Bond movies. It's like, who thought that was a great idea? I guess you were trying to have appeal to an audience that isn't watching, but anyway, they don't mention him. And again, I watched it again, and they don't. And I thought, well, are they going to have him in the clips? And of course, they did have several clips of George Lazenby, and of course, the magnificent Diana Rigg in from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So, I mean, how do you leave out, you mentioned all of the other Bond, people that have played Bond in the movies, but not him, and have him in the clips, too. Several clips, not only from the movie, but of George Lazenby's face. So I thought that was a little odd. And
the Billie Eilish song did win for original song for No Time to Die.
Yeah, and I think that was it was nominated for several technicals, but I think that's the only thing it won. Which again, I mean, the Sam Smith song from Spectre won, and then the Adele song from Skyfall had won, and Goldfinger, admittedly, probably the best Bond song, was nominated but did not win. But again, I'm not a big fan of the Billie Eilish song, and of course I don't know what she was, not that we're going to talk about necessarily that costume, but what in God's name was she wearing? I mean, just that, I don't know what that was. I thought maybe her dress didn't work out and they found something backstage that they put on her. But again, like I said, I'm not a big fan. But I mean, I like her voice. I just, her choice of thing. Again, just for a second on, again, we don't really do the costume thing, but I thought a lot of the dresses, other than, my God, the cleavage was just something else this year. But I thought the best dress was Lupita
Nyong'o. Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, I thought she looked great. And of course, she also deserves some kind of award. When you watch when Will Smith is swearing at Chris Rock, you look at her and she has got the most amazing look on her face, like Bambi in headlights. And when you watch it over and over, you go, ooh, it's a real thing then, because she's like, wow. She looked great. I like her. She's a wonderful actress.
Yes.
But about the show...
but let me make my comment on the dresses, Mike, and I will make no comments on dresses and the women and how they look. So I do not care. I know it's a big deal, but I don't care. What other tributes did we have? We had Pulp Fiction and Travolta and Sam Jackson and Uma Thurman came out for that. We had the Godfather tribute. Is there anything else you have in your notes?
It's funny, the Godfather tribute. Again, if you followed anything about the Godfather and the making of it, which was very difficult, and Francis Coppola fighting tooth and nail with the studio, which was mainly in that case Robert Evans, and they to say they didn't like each other was a understatement. I mean, and then of course they went to work on Cotton Club, and that's where it really went in the dumper. That they, I don't think they spoke for years, and if at all after that. And Robert Evans has of course since died, and for when he singles out Mario Puzo, which they were personal friends, I thought, okay. And then when he singles out to thank Robert Evans, I thought, wow, Robert Evans is spinning in his grave at that, because I've never heard Francis Coppola say anything positive about Robert Evans until that moment. And it was like, wow. And it was like, Robert Evans, had many issues. There's a great documentary about, him, and a great book two books he read. I didn't read the second one, I read the first one. But, he was behind the scenes of many, produced, Paramount, many movies, like Chinatown, Rosemary's Baby. I mean, he had and then of course his, once, he was married to Ally McGraw, then she goes off to make the Getaway, and then, breaks up with him and goes off with Steve McQueen, and then, he had bought The Great Gatsby for her, and then, he boots her off the movie and brings in Mia Farrow, and, it was just a real tabloid life. And again, that's made good documentary and a good book. But again, with Francis Ford Coppola thanking him, that was very, very odd. But, and of course, Al Pacino, again, we won't talk about the women. I've never seen him with a suit that fits properly. I mean, he's probably got a bucket of money. Let's get a good tailor for poor Al Pacino. But anyway, other tributes. I thought Kevin Costner did a beautiful job sort of calming them down after the infamous slap what he gives director. He's sort of, real classy, sort of speaking very nicely. And then, of course, you got Jane Campion, who had that brouhaha over the sort of slamming the Williams sisters. And then she comes out and goes, well, that was very dramatic, Kevin. I thought, Wow. Stay on script. Oh my God. But anyway, trying to think what else as far as the actual. I didn't think there were any really big awards that I really disagreed with. I mean, there were people I would have chosen others, as we did on our other show, but I didn't like that windshield wiper cartoon. The only one I liked of the animated shorts was Robin Robin, but other than that, I mean, I don't think there was anything that was like, head holding in my hands. I like, Time to Die wasn't my choice, but again, it wasn't, terrible. But like I said, was there anything else that you thought was, a bad choice?
Nothing really shocked me besides the slappers around the world.
Bad choice. Is there something that you thought really should not have won?
Nothing really. No, nothing shocking. I mean, I really didn't want Coda to win Best Picture, even though I kind of thought it would. No, I mean, nothing. I think we had them pretty. I mean, you had them all right except for one. We had our own picks that we wanted, and nothing stood out. I mean, Jessica Chastain winning for actress it's not a good movie, but it's a good performance.
Yeah, she's a good actress. I mean, I have no problem. They sort of owed her, so there you go.
Right.
I know something we didn't talk about was the commercials. I mean, I'm old enough to remember where they wouldn't allow movie commercials on the Oscars. They said that the Academy said that would be promoting the movie. Then suddenly that fell by the wayside a few years ago, and you had all sorts of movie commercials. And this time it was Hulu, 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 which of course is connected to ABC, so okay. And then, you had that strange intro by, was it Channing Tatum that did the intro to Lightyear?
It was Chris Evans, and he's in Lightyear. That's why. And I think that was one of the only trailers we did see during the commercial.
But again, it had that odd intro where he congratulated somebody, and then, I thought, well, where's all the movie ads this year? But they were replaced by Hulu ads. But I did love the Rolex ad with all those incredible clips. I mean, you really wouldn't know it was a Rolex ad, even though that they do lots of magazine ads in Variety and Entertainment Weekly where they have an ad about celebrating classic cinema with Hitchcock and Scorsese and James Cameron. And I thought that was a terrific ad. I watched that several times. I mean, just for the clip, it was a terrific clip show. Oh, what about poor Netflix? Oh my God, how many millions and millions of dollars they spent on Roma advertising and The Irishman and Power of the Dog. A couple of weeks before the Oscars, I get the print Variety, the weekly, and it came with the most incredible book. Must have cost, I hate to even think, a book on Power of the Dog. Not the novel, but a picture book of, 30 pages, and it's big, of all, reviews and photos and talking about the movie. I mean, it was breathtaking. It had to come in a plastic bag separate from the weekly Variety. It had to cost a fortune. And then who is the first streaming service to get the Best Picture? Apple Plus. Wow. I am sure Netflix was not happy.
Yeah, I would think they would agree with that statement. I am sure. Yeah, I mean, Apple's not been around very long.
No.
I borrow your password for that, and there's not a whole lot on there. I mean,
you don't borrow my password. Erase that.
They're listening. Yeah, we're doing it on an Apple phone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
On an Apple computer. Well, we're giving them free advertising. I mean, that's kind of paying for it.
Yeah, There you go.
Sure.
But another thing we haven't chatted about, what did you think of the Beyonce opening?
Yeah, I thought
Beyonce in Compton, straight out of Compton.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty extravagant. I mean, I thought it was, it was slightly entertaining. I'm not big into that kind of stuff, but
So I liked it. I had one laugh out loud thing. I thought throughout it, they had that little symbol at the side that said live. And I thought, is that live? And I thought the way it was edited, I thought, I don't think it is. And then, of course, I read later that it was filmed much earlier. I mean, not necessarily that day, but whenever it was filmed, not live. But, that they made a point of not removing that live logo on it. And I thought, maybe you should have removed that live logo, because not that it was a big deal, but I always thought, well, God, I don't think that's live. But, anyway. But again, she looked great. The song was okay. I mean, it wasn't going to win, but it was okay. Anyway, what did you think? What did you think of the hosts?
I would have been fine with just one of them. It's like they just kind of had to give them each of them their own thing, and I'd rather it just be one. I did not like the patting down of the Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin. Thought that was weird. I like the Amy Schumer coming down in those Spider-Man. It's just silly, but again, it's like these are just time wasters. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. And I like that they went to the Academy Museum, whether that was, it's the Academy show. I like they did do that. And I did laugh out loud when Wanda Sykes commented on the skull in the case being Harvey Weinstein. That was pretty neat. But, whether all that time-wasting stuff was going to add to the ratings of the show, who knows? And, I guess they thought it would, but all the bad press, that they got over the age-removed categories was, was it worth it? Like you said, still ran 3 hours and I think 38 minutes. It's like, when I saw it go past 11, I said, there's no way. And of course, also they play that music on a lot of people. They were better this year than most, but they certainly weren't playing the music on Will Smith. They let him go on.
Yeah. No, just a couple of things. I mean, Ariana DeBose won supporting actress. We saw that come in. Gave West Side Story a win. Branagh won for original screenplay on Belfast, so he finally got his Oscar.
Yep, finally.
Cruella, No Brainer, won costume.
Yeah.
Tammy Faye, Eyes of Tammy Faye won hair and makeup. Kind of could see that coming, but again, Cruella could have won there too. Documentary went to Summer of Soul, and that was presented right after the Slap. That was the one Chris Rock was presenting. So,
you heard the brouhaha about that, where he had said it was one black guy and three or four white guys,
and of course, and it wasn't. It wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think our Slap show, the portion where we discuss the Slap, I'm going to call it, or when the Slap would be televised. Let's see. Documentary short went to Queen of Basketball. You said you had seen that.
Yeah, I liked it. I hadn't seen the others. Couldn't really judge.
Encanto won animated film, which we both picked as being winner there. Short film, you mentioned Windshield Wiper winning, and you said you didn't like that. You liked the Robin.
I didn't like any of them except Robin. Yeah.
Yeah. Live action short went to The Long Goodbye, and
which was
Riz Ahmed was on that one.
Yeah. I think it was producer too, and it was terrific. Very intense.
And Drive My Car won international film. So
yeah. Because
you look winners.
Right. But we were talking about Coda again. You look at, Coda did not win, National Society. It didn't win New York Film Critics. It didn't win. There's so many things it didn't win, and then sort of, the tide changed and it started to win things. And we had Producers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild, and again, Coda was under the radar. I mean, it was just. I mean, but that is from, I believe, Sundance, it was the highest price ever paid, $25 million Apple Plus paid. And again, it's like, because Netflix has gotten burned on a couple of movies they paid buckets of money from and didn't do well. But again, Apple went out on a limb, and as I think Variety had the article, that paid off for them because, it put them on the map, the first streaming service to win the Best Picture. And, how many people will, sign up for Apple Plus to see the Best Picture of the year? At least, get their trial week or whatever they can get out of it. But that paid off. It did.
Yeah, I mean, that came out earlier in the year. Coda did. I think it was like a March release or something.
Well, it was that early, but yeah, it's because, like I said, it was if it played movie theaters, and I think some places played it after the nominations because they were playing all the nominated films. But I think it was definitely didn't come out right when the nominations came out. It had been out for a while, and it's not that it was badly reviewed. It was well reviewed, but I don't think when it first came out, anybody saw, hey, there's the Best Picture of the year. I don't think they anticipated that because You Drive My Car won so many things, but again, it gave it international. But again, that's a tough watch. But,
yeah. Well, anything else on the show, Mike?
No,
anything else in your notes?
I got that covered unless there's something else you have.
No, did we cover everything in your notes there?
Yes, as far as I could see, yeah.
Okay, well, before we go, why don't you tell that story you told me about when the Oscars used to be on and why, and
okay.
I think we did discuss about the showing the trailers during the Oscars back then.
Okay. When I was but a child, many moons ago, the Oscars, because I am older than Gabe here, the Oscars were on Monday nights at 10 o'clock. Now, you'd think, well, that's odd. Well, it was the Academy had figured that was the least night watching. Now, again, that wouldn't be 10 o'clock. West Coast, that would be 10 o'clock. East Coast, West Coast would be, of course, 3 hours earlier. But again, it would be the least night that would affect movie-going attendance. And then, back then, of course, there were no movie previews could be showing during the show, or commercials be showing during the show. And another thing, they would not allow clips from movies to be shown. It was only stills. And of course, I was so young, I would never be allowed to stay up that late to see the end. I mean, I was movie crazy way back then too. But again, I had school the next day. So again, you would see they would show stills, and, it was, because I don't think they started telecasting the winners until the 53 Oscars, which was the 54. And I don't think I started watching until the earliest I remember is the 61 Oscars from 62. I remember they kept showing stills of West Side Story when it won things. And of course I couldn't stay up till the end. But, again, it was a whole different world back then. And then, then they realized that, when they moved it to, showing clips and Sunday night, and then, recently was when they would show movie commercial. But, yeah, it was different then. And of course, back then you didn't have all the streaming and all of the, different things. It was 3 channels. And so the Oscars got, even at that late time, it got, this immense, like 60% of the TVs tuned on were on the Oscars because that was it. I know, and the one other thing I did want to mention that we sort of forgot about was the honorary awards. How many streaming services are out there? And even ABC connected to Hulu. I mean, why not put that honorary show on when they gave it to the honorary people? Because this year was Danny Glover, Samuel L. Jackson, Liv Ullmann, and Elaine May. And and they don't they don't have anything, they'll abbreviate their speeches or something. Who wouldn't watch that as a special? Who would care how long it went on if it was on Hulu or whatever? And I heard this year, which was very unusual, because those were all 4 very deserving people who had, not actually received nominations. Liv Ullmann, a bunch of nominations. Samuel L. Jackson, I think, won for Pulp Fiction. Danny Glover, never. And Elaine May, 2 for scripts of Primary Colors and The Birdcage. And it was funny, Bill Murray was introducing Elaine May. Well, she hadn't shown up for this honorary thing, which was, I think, the Friday before the Oscars, which normally it's much earlier, but because of COVID, it was later. And Bill Murray's introducing her, even though she's not there, they were just going to say, we'll accept it for her. She strolls in right when he's talking about her, and she comes up to the stage. She takes her award, and she says, well, if the president of Ukraine couldn't present this to me, I'm really happy that Bill Murray could. She walks off the stage and leaves the auditorium. What I wouldn't have given to have seen that. But no, they don't allow it to be recorded or televised. Just people talk about it.
Yeah.
But the honorary people, they used to present them or something, but, at the show. But no, we want to cut it down. So put it on streaming. It's like the Tony Awards do that now, where they've moved a whole bunch of those, the technical things, whether, sets, choreography, lighting and all that. They move that to, I think, PBS, and then the bulk of the show is on CBS. But those other ones, it's not that they don't televise them. It's just if you're interested, you've got to go to PBS, which again, it's better than not having it at all. So, but
well, we're giving ABC and the Academy all kinds of free ideas here, so
Yes. Well, let's not say free. Let's say we would like some acknowledgement in some way. To be determined.
Yeah, put us in the crawl. We want to be in the crawl somewhere.
Don't make us slap somebody at the Academy. Just don't make us.
Okay. Well, anything else, Mike, in your notes?
No.
Anything else
I think that's it, unless you have something else.
No. I think I'm just gonna preview next show we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do our pandemic top 10s. So get your 2021 list handy, and we'll also cover 2022 just because it'll be our pandemic.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. You mean you're talking 2021 and 2020?
Yes. So we'll each have our own list for 2021, and then we'll also discuss 2020 since it was a pandemic year. So I'm going to make the show our pandemic top 10.
Are we limiting it to 10 in each case?
I have some honorable mentions, and I also have some worst of the year. So
yes, definitely. Let's do what do you say? 5 worst?
I'm not going to limit you on that. I mean, we're going to do our top 10s.
Okay.
I'm not going to, no more than several honorable mentions. And then you can have a couple of the worst of movies you don't think people need to see from those years. So, yeah, that'll be
sounds good. So,
that'll be next show, and then from there we'll just do a weekly show where we will discuss, the movies we've seen that week. Could be new movies, could be older movies. We'll discuss trailers that have come out. We'll discuss news and movie news. Entertainment, celebrity news, maybe even. We'll see what happens with the slap drama from in a couple weeks. We'll see where that's at, and other than that, that's what we're going to do.
One last thing is now it's 2 things actually. In my own personal life, I have now threatened to slap people. I've said, "Don't make me slap you," because now that's the thing.
All right.
And secondly, if you go on YouTube and there's the James Corden, and I don't always watch the James Corden show, but it's amusing on occasion. There was a thing that popped up on my phone the day after the slap, and the whole group, all their writing staff, and James Corden is at the big table, and they're talking about, and then they break into the song, "We Don't Talk About Jada." I was weeping.
Oh.
We don't talk about Jada, and it was just, it was just great. The very next day, it was like they were ready for it. It was terrific.
Yeah,
Short, but very good.
Yep, I think we're going to find that that's going to provide a lot of material for comedians and late night show hosts.
And also security guards who will have to be watching at the edge of the stage for 4 comedians who will be attacked from the audience.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm going to hear those stories if that does happen, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, it could provide us, entertainment for weeks, months, years to come. So
That's it. All
we'll
right.
see.
Thanks, Gabe.
Okay, Mike, thanks for joining on the show today, and we'll see everyone later. Bye, Mike.
Okay.